Welcome to Track E, the international track. I'm Carl Gerber, Chief Data Officer for Deloitte US, and I'll be your track producer. The MIT CDOIQ Symposium continues to expand our global reach. We have an excellent lineup of sessions that bring a world view. You are in session 18E, Transformational Role of Good Data Management. This session is being recorded along with all of the other sessions from the symposium and will be made available together with the presentation materials to all attendees. We have a Q&A session. Go to the Q&A tab of Wahoo to enter your questions or to vote up questions that are already there so we can address them at the end of this session. Now I would like to introduce our session leader, Aliyu Aziz. Engineer Aliyu Aziz Abubakar has over 30 years of post-qualification experience in engineering, information technology, and management spanning both public and private sectors. He is currently the Director General, CEO of the National Identity Management Commission, prior to which he served as the Director of Information Technology, National Identity Database Department in NIMC. Engineer Aziz graduated from Ahmadu Bello University with a Bachelor of Engineering in Civil Engineering and subsequently obtained a Master of Science in Structural Engineering at the same university. He is an alumnus of Harvard, Stanford, IMD, MIT, and Lagos Business School, where he has obtained numerous specialized certifications. Engineer Aziz has held key leadership roles in both public and private firms and served in various capacities as Information Technology Advisor to the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Deputy Director of IT at Bureau of Public Enterprises, Technical Chairman on the Presidential Committee on Harmonization of ICT, which resulted in the formation of Galaxy Backbone PLC, Director in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, where he served in the Presidential Implementation Committee, charged with implementing government decisions on consumer credit system, national outsourcing initiative, and harmonization of identification schemes in Nigeria. The committee oversaw the setting up of the National Identity Management Commission in 2007, of which he later became a pioneer staff. Aliyu, over to you.
Thank you, Carl. Today, good afternoon. My presentation is on the transformational role of good data management. I want to share the experience of the Nigerian Digital ID project. And my outline is to give you a brief about the nation Nigeria and talk about some fact sheets on data, the data ecosystem and its components, and also talk about big data characteristics that have been talked about in this meeting, challenges of data management and its importance, then the state of our own digital data and the scenario in Nigeria, and also give some of the transformations of the digital ID and some final thoughts and takeaway. So Nigeria is located in the western part of African country. It is a former British colony, and we are the most populous Black nation with more than 200 million Nigerians. But apart from that, the rate of growth is always more than 7 million annually that is being added. And of course, Africa's largest economy. We have mobile phones and SIM cards of over 100 million. And of course, our dear President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, we are structured with 6 zones, 36 states, like the states in US, and with a federal capital territory, where I am in Abuja. The capital is, yes.
Would you share your slides, please?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, sorry, I thought it's shared. Sorry.
And we can see
Is
them
it
now.
on? You
We
can
can
see them
now.
now.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, thank you, sorry. As I was mentioning that we are the Africa's largest economy. We also structures with 36 states and the federal capital, and it's Abuja where I am. We have Christianity, Islam, and other religions, and they play a great role. And we are the founding members of the ECOWAS, similar to the Euro, and the most diverse with more than 250 languages. If you move some places every 15 kilometers, you'll find a different tongue completely. We have 774 local government areas. That is like councils. We are blessed with human and natural resources, and also we have high percentage of young labor force, about 24%, about 60% is less than 24 years old. And we are technology enthusiasts and also users of technology. My slide is on the fact sheet of data. Of course, Nigeria is blessed with oil, but we think that in this 21st century, data is the new oil, and it's also like air, and data is becoming the new raw materials, and that we are in a data-driven society. Our ecosystem moves from the data generation and collection, that is the source and platform where data are initially captured. We aggregate data, that is the processes and platforms for combining data from multiple sources. And also data need to be analyzed before we glean insights into that data. And of course, data cannot happen without an infrastructure. We need hardware, software, and associated data management tools. And the components are database systems, master data, quality control, integration, definition, warehousing those data, transforming them, governance, and also the architecture. Those make the main components of data management. And of course, it has been talked about in this conference about the characteristics of big data from the volume. And of course, 200 million people can generate a lot of data, and it's at high velocity with different varieties of the data and also the capacity. And in this slide, I've given some of the definitions of those terminologies, which has been discussed extensively in this conference. But it has a lot of impact. The big data will become a key basis of competition and also growth for individual firms and also government organizations like my own. And also the use of big data will underpin new waves of productivity and growth, and also consumer surpluses. And also there will be a shortage of talent necessary for organizations to take advantage of this data. So there are several issues that have to be addressed, and there are a lot of politics, a lot of technology and techniques, organizational challenges and talents, access to data, and also the industry itself. So it doesn't always come without challenges. One is that we grow up having fragmented approach to data management, sectorally, different agencies having different kinds of data. A lot of investment have been made in each of agencies and government agencies and also private sector. There's issue of quality assurance, lack of policies, and lack of data management culture. And of course, there's also exploitation by vendors, which they, of course, they have to do that before they generate profits. And of course, currently there's this data privacy and protection that have to be in place before data is utilized properly. And also capabilities of administrators of data have to be increased. But there are a lot of importance when data is being managed. First of all, on productivity, that there will be better organization, timely information, and faster action. There's also cost efficiency. There's security risk of storage and access. There's, as mentioned earlier, data privacy, protection controls, and authorization. And also that but it helps to give accurate decisions, because decisions are always, strategy is to select best decisions. So good data improves quality of decisions, and provides platform to plan, organize, and delegate, and also allows for update. And of course, there is also smooth operations, which eases the response to issues and also staying ahead of the world and competition. I quickly will move to the Nigeria's identity landscape. Well, the identity sector is like the foundational principles of identification management in Nigeria. Unlike in the US, where you have the social security number that has been established long time ago, in most developing countries, there is no such foundational system. Therefore, the identity system is to empower individuals so that they can exercise their basic rights, that is enhance access to services and also improve participation in the formal economy. It is also to improve efficiency and effectiveness of the service delivery and governance. And when we generate a reliable and updated and continuous data for statistics, then it allows us to take decisions properly and also have a good policies with regard to like security or planning and also even budgeting. And we think that it will accelerate progress towards an inclusive digital economy as we move into the 21st century. And by doing so, it should also achieve regional and global integration through digital connections. Like in the Europe, anyone that is coming into Europe, we want to know the background information of the person. Therefore, having this database will provide such type of information. And of course, identity is useful in everyday life, in e-commerce, migration and travel, like the example I mentioned, or in the banking, through know your customer, or healthcare, social safety nets, in the education, policing and security, and also voting is very important in every country to have accurate data to really exercise the democratic principles. So the mandate of National Identity Management Commission is to establish a national identity database. And we do that by registering all persons, that is both citizens and also people that are resident in Nigeria, into a database. And after that, we issue a unique identifier to every individual in Nigeria. That is, in our own case, is the national identification number, which is similar to the social security number. And also we issue GMPC, that is general multipurpose card, a card that is multipurpose, that has so many functions or applets in it, which will also serve like the national identity card. And we also provide identity authentication and verification services so as to check the data. And of course, we regulate the Nigerian ID sector. So you can see that the mandate is really large, but we focus on these service offerings, like in terms of identification. We carry out the enrollment. We also do data storage of the unique ID that we issue. We also do what is called deduplication. That is using ABIS, Automated Biometric Identification System, to use the biometrics of an individual to get the uniqueness of that person, using the fingerprint, the face, and also iris. We also issue ID credentials, like I mentioned earlier, National Identification Number, or NIN. That is like the social security number. We also issue the national ID card. And of course, we carry out authentication services. So every system that you can't query the system, then it means that it's like a DOM system in this 21st century. So the authentication services confirm you are who you say you are. That is using your biometrics and also demographic information that we do. Of course, we set standards, procedures, operating rules, regulations for the access to the data and also to its own usage. So here are some of the sample of those offerings. And we offer the NIN, National Identification Number, to everyone free of charge. There is no charge in this particular service. So, but of course, there are so many global trends in this particular area, like the increased data storage capacity and cost. Those storage capacity is becoming bigger, the cost is lower, and data also has gained tremendous richness and diversity. There's the data volume that doubles almost every 3 years. It doubles. Therefore, the storage capacity have to be planned for. The data, we have structured and also unstructured data, and only a fraction of the potential value of this data and the analytics are really captured. And of course, the smartphone in this 21st century has a lot of rich data that it leaves along its own path. So in harmonizing, so we have so many silos that has been generated, like the BVN is the bank, our bank records, trying to get the laser pointer. Okay, like the BVN, bank verification number, bank account holders. We have more than 40 million of those. We have the voters register, which is more than 60 million unique. We have from the communication commissions, we have the SIM register of more than 100 million. Of course, the population commission have a register of almost 180 million. And then we have the tax, and then the passport, and this is the NIMSI with for 59 million as of today, unique records. So our role is to harmonize all these disparate databases, and then have a pipeline that will create a unique national identity database that will have all the individuals with their uniqueness in this database. And of course, the outputs are a lot. We have the unique identifier, we have statistical data, ID authentication and verification, and of course, the electronic KYC and up-to-date and reliable information that is being provided. Of course, the objective is to have uniform data and biometric standards. Because of the uniqueness, we have to have the biometrics and the unique identifier for all, which is the national identification number. And it is mandatory that citizen obtains the national identification number. And we have universal coverage of citizens, residents, and also Nigerians in diaspora also have facilities in all countries to get connected. And of course, there are issues to do with interoperability, which we want to have one system and provide one ID for life, and of course, consolidate and also streamline the identity data so that we have trusted and verifiable identity for each and every Nigerian. So recently, together with the World Bank, the European Investment Bank, and also AFD, which is the French Development Agency, we came up with a strategic roadmap that will leverage the capacity of all the ID collectors in an ecosystem to reach full coverage. So we have the enrollment ecosystem, all the federal agencies, state, local government, private sector, including civil society, will interact with the individuals and collect the data and send this data to NIMSI. NIMSI stores the core data, which is the unique identity data, and sets standards and certifies those field operators and regulate the ID system. And we also provide authentication of the NIN to the citizen through all these other ecosystem partners. Rather than doing it alone, we found out that it's cheaper to have to use the capacity of all existing ecosystem partners. So we are to provide convenience in such a way that the NIN should be serve all the other government agencies like driver's license, voters registration, bank verification, pensioners, SIM registration, tax certification, and all others. So NIN again means National Identification Number, which is similar to the US Social Security Number or the UK National Insurance Number, or in India, what they call as Aadhaar, which means foundation in one of their dialect. And of course, there are a lot of benefits of that. Principally is to use technology to provide inclusion and also digital governance in terms of health, which allows universal health insurance, financial inclusion to include most of the more than 70% poor people that we have. It allows migration and travel, like anyone that is crossing the borders, you can ask him for, if he's from Nigeria, for national identification number, then you have a way to verify who that person is. And then women's empowerment, voting rights, social safety nets, especially every state government has program for children under the age of 5, for pregnant women, for indigent people. So, but identification provides the means and so that it can block leakages and also remove middlemen, and also, of course, education. So the transformational impact is that good data management is essential for national planning strategies. It's allowed the government to develop more accurate theories and put in place more effective solutions for growth and development, and that the health intervention can be better coordinated, as we have seen during the COVID last year. And also public security and safety rely on data to prevent crime, focus civil unrest and safety. Example use cases are the social network data and environmental data, and also um, law enforcement agents and emergency responders will be able to utilize this data. And these will improve governance. Good data management system enable government implement new policies and identify sectors that most need intervention. Actually, that is why we call it the foundational data. With that, it will allow planning, it will allow us fight insecurity, and also make sure that our budgetary provisions are done properly. And of course, it will increase the standard of living. That is, basic government amenities and services are properly allocated under good data management principles. With that, I've given here in this map a distribution of all our enrollment centers across Nigeria. So this shows us that most of the big cities like Lagos, this is where Lagos is, this is where Abuja is, this is the oil producing areas, Port Harcourt, this is Southeast area, this is Kano and its environment. But you can see on the sides of Nigeria, both this side and this side, we had, and this is the northeast area where we have the insurgencies. So all these areas needs more centers so that we can capture the whole population at the same time. This is also the data from the local government areas. So local government areas is like the councils. So we use green, white, green, which is the color of the flag of Nigeria, to present this data. The lighter areas have less data. The darker the green, the darker data that has been captured. So you can see again, Lagos area. This is my place, Abuja, Kano, and others. But there are white areas in all places where there are inaccessible areas, or the rate of registration is low, or areas where there is banditry, or where the bandwidth, there is no much bandwidth. So telecommunications are an issue in those areas. So this is our trajectory that we are applying warehouse business monitoring to give out some business insights and also business optimization from the current 59 million that we have enrolled, and also that we provide access to the data through verifications, that is in the form of data monetization. So we have recently launched mobile web services, that is a suite of NIMSI support services inspired by privacy by design and also privacy by default. So we have 3 services in form of the NIMSI mobile app, improve NIN sleep, and also some tokenization services to do the privacy by design. Especially the mobile app is one of our flagship that we give power to the citizen. Sometimes, like you need the NIN before you obtain a passport to travel. So you may go there, you already have the NIN, but they may claim that they can't verify the NIN from NIMSI. So what we are trying to do here to give the citizen access so that the citizen should be able to verify. Then the citizen can also verify someone else. So we have given this power, and already 9.3 million downloads in the last 6 months, and it's increasing. We have also modified the slip to now give it a pocket-friendly size, and we have it in 2 versions. One is black and white, the other one is color, and that it allows one to access to print as many copies that the person wants. The NIN slip does not expire ever, and any verification made is also recorded and is available in the mobile IDs record. Here we use Nigerian Pidgin, that is English Pidgin language, that every copy now original. So, which just means every copy is genuine, just to let people that you have power in your own hands to carry out all what you need to do. And also, we provided tokenization service in such a way that the NIN, which is a randomly generated 11-digit number, is now tokenized to become a 16-digit virtual ID, which can be sent in JWT format. And every transaction is now recorded in a blockchain, so that there won't be much issues of not happening it. Of course, nowadays that big data comes in streams. The streaming of the data comes from many, many angles. And therefore, we have to devise ways to have a streaming processors in order to get the outputs that we can use. And in this case, we have a streaming API that collects the data, and using message queuing technologies, we use push and pull to carry out analysis. And this data is stored in the long-term storage, and where we have the verification services, we have in-memory storages that we now give access to all the people that are required to get access to the data. So my key points and takeaways is that we need to build human capital for big data and data management, and develop policies that balance the interests of companies wanting the data to value from data, and citizens wanting to protect their privacy. And we have to align incentives to promote data sharing for the greater good, because of the cybersecurity that is now prevailing. And we have to establish effective intellectual property frameworks to really ensure that innovation continues in this area. And we have to address technology barriers and accelerate more research and development in targeted areas. And we have to ensure investment in underlying ICT infrastructure. I have come to the end of my presentation. I want to thank you for listening and to enjoy the rest of the program. That identity matters, and also Nigeria is also known with soccer. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Aliyu. We have some questions that have come in, so we can now go to the question and answer session.
Okay.
So in your national identity program, you place an emphasis on enrollment and including biometrics to uniquely identify people. I think your slide said, so we know you are who you say you are.
Yes.
So the question is then, at the point of authenticating people, how does biometrics play a factor at the point of authentication?
Okay. Thank you very much. We have several ways of authentication. The principal authentication always comes with the number. So just like with the NIN, which is the national identification number, similar to the social security number, you can check that whether this NIN exists, yes or no. If it exists, who owns this NIN? Okay, I want to see the name, or I want to see the picture of the person, or I may need maybe his date of birth, because maybe it has to do with pension, or that like in the telcos now, they want to also verify the fingerprint of the person. So in that case, they will then capture the fingerprint and then send to the back end for verification. And then they will get an answer whether it's verified, yes or no. But when it comes to the NIN verification, or using the NIMSI, the application, you can also scan this to the barcode and then authenticate the person. But we don't share the biometrics. We don't share the fingerprint or the even the face. You can only see it, but we don't share the fingerprint or the iris. We have not yet started taking the iris, but we have it at the back end. So that is what obtains. So mainly is the NIN, the national identification number, that is being used to verify an individual. But if the use case requires the fingerprint or the face, then we also have it, but we don't share the data. And also that the citizen have to be present when you carry out the verification, because in Africa, we have a saying that you cannot shave somebody's hair in his own absence. So the person have to be around before you, or he has come to you for a service before you can carry out the verification. Thank you.
Okay. There were several questions about your good data management practices. So have good data management practices made a difference in Nigeria's identification database goals?
Yes, of course. Of course, whatever you do, that you have to employ good data management practices. If you don't, then there are so many agencies that carries out checks and balances. There's also the data protection law, which we have regulations right now, but it's similar to the law in places, and you have people, vendors, and also companies that carries out the checks and balances. So we emphasize, and also the laws also are very, very stringent in the sense that like unauthorized access might fetch one with 10 years imprisonment without even an option of fine. Yeah.
Okay. So as you were implementing these, when you were establishing the good data management practices, did you encounter any challenges, and how did you overcome them?
There are many challenges. First of all, as I said, as a country, that we have not had a unique identifier in place. So therefore, there are many agencies that have been providing their own unique identifier in their own sector, and it does not cover the whole nation. So there's a lot of tough protection by agencies. There are also, as I mentioned earlier, vendors that wants to sell their equipment, so they don't care about other agencies. They move around to just carry out their own. And a lot of, like we have to now generate, have this harmonization committee that has been running since 2008. We had harmonization committee, and that that has been meeting and also coming up with, that came up with standards that is agreeable to all agencies. And of course, there are issues of funding like any other agency has, but therefore, but government have allowed us to get access to the World Bank and also the European Investment Bank and also the French AFD, and we have gone through the process. It takes time, but by last week, our Congress have approved those facilities. Therefore, and since the system also now is for it's a paper play. So a vendor or a government agency is expected to invest and then capture the data and send it to the back end. It's only when the NIN is generated that we count those NINs and pay for it. Therefore, it changed the matrix from contract and turnkey contracts through PPPs to non-paper play. And I believe that the system works better in this sense. Thank you.
You described the role of data harmonization for the government agencies. Do you see a similar role for data harmonization extending out to products and services in the industries and sectors?
Yes, yeah. When you have strong leaders, then they make it happen. And when it happens, then the participants will now see that there is really value in what they have been doing. If we have never standardized the internet, then we wouldn't have been having this conference while I'm in Abuja and you are in Massachusetts and also having the same conference. So that standardization and also integration and harmonization of products and services are required in 21st century.
Another question relates to the role that data management has played in the broader context of transformation. Can you give some examples in your experience how data management was an important part of transformation?
Well, yes, transformation forces us to rethink our all operating models, or like how someone explains the difference between change and transformation. And he says that while change fixes the past, transformation creates a new future without the constraint of the past. And it is similar to the saying that when a snake sheds its skin, it changes. But when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it transforms itself. So to us, that we can see even by now, by the status now, by harmonizing the SIM register and the national identification, we can see that there's a lot of reduction in crimes that are related to identity. So to us, that is some form of transformation. But we still need a lot to do in terms of health, and also that we have also harmonized most of our records with the banking, and also there's a lot of sanity in that area too. Yeah.
In your presentation, you laid out the main components of good data management. So then the question is, what would you consider to be the characteristics that good data management is being performed?
Okay. Yeah. So let me get to the slide. So these are the main components. So in terms of there are hard things and also there are soft things in these components. In developing countries, the infrastructure in terms of the database systems, we find those things to be much an issue. In some places, then governance might be an issue, but to us, I think the hard things to do with the technology, to do with the database systems, to have the ABs and also the database and the networking system and the storage system to be working together is the major issue for us in the developing countries. Of course, there's issue of power management is also issue at the end where they capture the data is always the power, the telecommunication, and also and things like that. But it's not really difficult for people to understand what they are what is really happening. Thank you.
All right, Aliyu, thank you for your presentation today. Would you like to make any final remarks for the audience before we end the session?
Well, thank you very much for listening to me, and I wish you good deliberations in the remaining aspect of the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. And this ends our session.